I'm going to go over a couple more things. Again, I was listening to Lindsey Williams. It was a broadcast he did on November 15th, 2011. And these are my notes from October 10th, 2011, when we heard from him again after a period of silence for about 3 or 4 months. And I was wondering if he was going to say anything different. He's very tedious to listen to, I know, because he repeats all his stories about his days in Alaska. But anyway, just to get on with this, he was emphasizing a little bit more about debt before collapse. In other words, major debt before collapse. He did say this before, national, state, business, and individual. But what I'm getting out of this, it seems to hint that collapse will occur not even in 2012. It seems to be hinting more that collapse will occur in 2013. Silver, he's saying 75 to 100. Last time he was saying $75 an ounce. Now that seems kind of low compared to some of the forecasts some of these other people have been putting out. But if that tells me that the currency is not going to go to hyperinflation, and there's a few other reasons I see that it's not going to go to hyperinflation. I'll point out what those are for now in a minute. The other thing, currency devaluation to the point that food will be extremely expensive. I know I mentioned that before he mentioned that, and that is related to oil prices. Looking at what's going on in the Middle East, Libya's down, it's done. That was toppled, just as he said, Egypt, and now it looks like Syria. And you know, in the case of Syria, this guy Assad, he should be toppled. I got no doubt about that. I got no problem with that whatsoever. That guy runs an extremely bad police state, so I don't care if it's a policy to lead or not. That guy should be toppled. That guy's bad news. So that I don't know what's going to happen with Iran in the short term. I almost kind of think that Israel might throw a monkey wrench in the elite's timetable schedule, but you really don't know. You really don't know. Because looking at Lindsey Williams over a year ago, he was saying that Iran was not scheduled for about a year to a year and a half. And that's about right in the period right now. Not that I think anybody follows a blueprint on any of this stuff, you know. But the guy you really thought would be nice to talk to is the guy that Lindsey Williams is talking to. And because there'd be a lot more questions that could be asked, or maybe asked of questions that could maybe get a little more information out of him. But what I like to do is I like to try to correlate this with what other people are saying, especially Mark Faber and Jim Rogers. I was looking at this article. It was published by the Cato Institute, and what I found interesting about it was that they had this chart on here. Now, it goes into the M2 versus the M4, the money supply. Now, the one you're really interested in is the M3 or M4. The M4 is almost this. They're not that much different between M3 and M4. And I had some basic courses in economics. I mean, this thing goes up to M5, M6, M7. It gets into some really wacky stuff. But the M3 or the M4 is basically what you're looking for. I'm going to go over what the definitions of those are real quick. M1 is, they call it the narrow money. That includes the coins and all the money that's cash that's in circulation. Anything that you got that's a paper note that's in circulation. M2 is all the short-term bank deposits and 24-hour money market funds, plus all the cash that's in circulation. So it's that plus the M1. M3 is you include the longer-term money, the deposits in the money market funds more than 24 hours maturity, and you add in the M2 and you add in the M1, and then M4 is all those three: the M1, M2, M3 plus other deposits. And you know, I don't know what other deposits are. I forgot what this stuff was, but I know the difference between M3 and M4 is not as great as the difference between M2 and M3. So you're more interested in these two, M3 and M4. Far as what the true money supply is. But if you look at this chart, I found this kind of interesting because, you know, there was some argument about silver going up because of speculation. I know the major media says that, or it was in a bubble or whatever the hell it was. I think fundamentally this stuff is far too low. I mean, it's probably going to take maybe quite some time before you get those astronomical numbers that some of the people are expecting. But looking at this chart, now this chart is not an absolute money value of dollars in the money supply. It's a percent change in the money supply, M2 versus M4. Being that the M2 is a red line and M4 is a blue line. Now I know Jim Rogers was saying that Ben Bernanke since the summer of 2011 has been printing money like crazy. Just look at the M2. Well, the M2, even percentage-wise, growth-wise, is going up. But not the M4. Not the M4. And I find this very interesting. That's so the actual real money supply is not growing quickly, as you would tend to believe. Now, the Federal Reserve hasn't published this M3 number since I think it was May 2007. I'm going by memory because I've been reading this junk for quite some years. But I put a big red line on where this 0% is. But you notice that the M4 had negative growth here. So what happened? This was around when QE was going. They must have been doing something to increase the money supply before they even announced things. They must have been doing something. But you notice where this dip is. It's like June 2010. And right about where it finishes is May 2011. Now, if you look back, not just at silver and gold and palladium and platinum, you look at coffee, cocoa beans, corn, wheat, cotton, you name it. Everything was going up during this time. Copper, all kinds of stuff. So, this may be a good way to judge. I'm going to use this partly too. I'm going to look at this stuff if I can get these figures as far as the real M4, what's going on, this Divisa M4, and I got to look up what the hell that is, because this seems to correlate exactly with when the commodities go up and when they retrace and go down. I found that very interesting. So it does look like, according to this too, we do need another round of quantitative easing. That's really the basic choice, because it looks like what's going on too is, as I was stating before, a lot of people hoard the cash. They hoard the cash, and what's going to happen is they're going to start, pouring into the commodities again, not just silver. So that QE3 is a key point of what's going to happen. But it looks like, the M2 and the M4 are going in opposite directions right now. That I find very interesting. So the real money supply is actually being contracted. Even though I heard from Jim Rogers, the M2's going up, the M2's going up, look what Bernanke's doing. But that's not the real money supply you need to be paying attention to. You should need to be paying attention to the M3 and the M4. Then again, looking at Europe, in Greece and Italy. Greece is this green line. The M3 is contracting greatly. Now this is another thing. It's another chart is in percentages, but it's growing. It's decreasing. Its rate of growth is decreasing, and that is since basically about for the last year in Greece. So they got, that's why they have so much widespread unemployment and stuff like that too. It's because there is an actual shortage of money in the actual economy to stimulate growth. There is a little bit. I know there's fiat dollars. You just can't throw money at a problem. But if the money supply is out of balance with what is actually needed to keep the economy running smoothly, then you do need to inject money into the system at times. It's just that, yes, I know they do inject too much money into the systems, but it looks like there's a lot of cash hoarding. People are buying some money that would be considered very long-term debt that wouldn't be included in the M3. So it's being hoarded. The cash is being hoarded in other areas. So in reality, they really kind of do have to inject some kind of money into the system to get it into where the actual economic activity is going. So I mean, you could see a point for the dark side. That's what I'm saying. As far as Mark Faber, he was talking about. He says, from what I was looking at, the most recent things he was saying was consistent with what he was saying maybe a month ago. He doesn't expect the markets to be going down drastically, like there's going to be this major catastrophic crash. I know these people were like, there's areas in the markets I think like him and Jim Rogers are short on, but overall like the S&P, or there's going to be this big meltdown in stock markets. He doesn't believe that's going to happen in the near-term future. He's talking about China here, about 2015 or 2020 at the latest. He thinks there's going to be a major economic and financial meltdown. So what I'm thinking is that in 2012 you're going to see these oil prices spike up. That's going to cause a global slowdown, but it's not going to happen where we see these euro fall apart in the month of December or January, or even the first quarter of 2012. I think that's way too early. So as far as some of these predictions that people are making, I think they're a little bit overblown. And we see what's going on. This guy, I'm really kind of trusting a lot more now because I'm watching the Middle East events. I'm talking about Lindsey Williams. It looks like Syria is a sure bet because you got the aircraft carrier George H.W. Bush in that area right now, being moved right up the coast of Syria. And I think all this stuff going on with Russia talking, I mean, it isn't just talk, but there's, let me put it this way. The elite are trying to keep everybody in a constant state of fear. Remember that. You see this stuff here? The elite are trying to keep everybody in it's a campaign of fear. Scared tactics are used so people will not think clearly. Okay, you're talking about Planet X is a hoax. Well, you know what? Most of the Cold War was kind of a hoax too. So, I mean, what's going on right now with these tensions with Russia and stuff like that, and everybody's scared of World War III with Iran, I don't think that's going to happen. I think when if there's going to be a World War III, there's a timetable for it, and it's going to happen no matter what you do. Period. You're not going to be able to affect it. It's just like you couldn't affect what happened in Libya. It's like they got everything, they got everything controlled. And it's Occupy Wall Street. People can protest all they want. You know what? They're not really getting at them. The way to get at them, I have to go back to, is buy the damn physical silver, take your money out of the bank, and just hold the stuff in your pocket. Because even if this only goes up to $75 to $100, hey, it's $31 right now, right? That's 2.5 to 3 times its value. That's good returns. I like that kind of return. That's pretty good. That ain't bad. So some of these guys, I think, are very irresponsible. Like I tell you, I don't mind Max Kaiser too much, but Bob Chapman pisses me off because he called $100 silver in 2010. He made this guy. I don't trust him. I gotta freaking put my 2 cents in here about that guy, and I'm trying to read between the lines and kind of steer people straight. This Lindsey Williams guy he's got some pretty good information here because his Middle Eastern events have been going right to the T. So I got to look at all the rest of the stuff, but I got to correlate that in with what other people are saying, whose words are a lot more knowledgeable than what you're getting out of some of these crackpots that are just I think they get paid to talk, and I am very familiar with those type of people. Big bucks, bullshit. You know what? You can buy 10 of those goddamn guys, and you know what happens? Excuse me for saying that, but you know what happens? You get 10 different opinions. If you want them to say something one way or the other way, just pay them. That's all you got to do. And I think everybody knows that. So just look back to this thing. The elite are using a campaign of fear, because right now I think people are worried about World War III. Who the hell knows? There might be some kind of nuclear exchange in the Middle East. But I'll bet you, even if they went that far, that it settles down and it isn't the end of the world. These guys are playing games with people psychologically. I think that's what they're doing. So I'm putting this shit out here because I cussed again, sorry. But I'm putting this stuff out here because there is a lot of people out there throwing a lot of garbage out there that I don't buy into at all.